You hear the word Chernobyl, and it's not just a place, right? It's a warning. It's become shorthand for nuclear catastrophe. Today, we're going to break down exactly what happened during the worst nuclear accident in human history, moment by agonizing moment.
So let's set the scene. The date is April 26th, 1986, a day that would be burned into the world's memory forever. Before this, a disaster on this scale, people thought it was impossible. After this day, well, it became a terrifying new reality. So that's the big question, isn't it? How on earth did a routine safety test, spiral so completely out of control that it became a global catastrophe? It's kind of mind-boggling when you think about it. All right, let's get into it. To really get our heads around this, we're actually going to start at the climax, at the moment everything went wrong. Section 1, a world-changing explosion. Picture this. It's the middle of the night in Soviet Ukraine, and suddenly, a massive explosion just lights up the entire sky. But this wasn't a bomb or some act of war. This was something entirely new and, frankly, absolutely terrifying. The start of a nuclear meltdown. So how did we get to that explosion? To figure that out, we have to rewind the clock just a few hours. That brings us to Section 2, and the event that kicked this whole thing off, the fateful safety test. Okay, this slide gives us some really crucial context. The Chernobyl plant you see was this huge symbol of Soviet technological might. But, and this is a huge but, it was hiding a deadly secret. Its reactor had a major design flaw. Most reactors, when they heat up, they get more stable. This one, it could do the exact opposite. It could actually get more reactive, more dangerous, especially when running at low power. That little detail is the key to this whole disaster. So the crazy thing is, the whole point of this test was about safety. I mean, that's the irony, right? They wanted to see if the reactor's own turbines could power essential systems during a blackout. But in doing that, they were unknowingly pushing this flawed reactor design right to its absolute limit, into its most unstable, dangerous state. And that brings us to the other half of this perfect storm, because the flawed technology was just one piece of the puzzle. Next up, Section 3. A cascade of human error. And you can see the dominoes start to fall right here. The second the test starts, the reactor gets unstable. The operators, they're under a ton of pressure, and they start breaking rule after rule, disabling automatic safety systems, pulling out almost all the control rods, basically taking all the safety nets away. Then the power levels just plummet, making the whole thing nearly impossible to manage. And then, bam, a sudden, totally out of control power surge. And this slide just shows you that insane gap between what they planned and what actually happened. On one hand, they expected a nice, stable, controlled test. The reality? An uncontrollable power spike so huge and so fast, there was just no way to stop it. And the result? It was instant. We're talking seconds. Within seconds of that power surge, a massive steam explosion just tore reactor number 4 apart from the inside. The force was just unbelievable. It blew the 2,000-ton concrete lid right off the building like a cork from a bottle. And that exposed the glowing nuclear core directly to the atmosphere, releasing this enormous plume of deadly radioactive material straight into the night sky. So, the explosion, the fire, that was just the beginning. The real horror, the thing that would cause so much suffering, was completely invisible, which brings us to Section 4, the invisible poison. Just try to imagine this. Firefighters show up within minutes. They think they're fighting a normal fire on a roof. They have no clue what's really going on. They're battling these flames with zero protective gear, standing just feet away from an exposed nuclear core pumping out lethal doses of radiation. And at the exact same time, just a few miles away in the city of Pripyat, a city built specifically for the plant's workers and their families, life is just normal. The sun comes up, it's a beautiful spring day, and kids are heading outside to play in the streets. And yeah, as the slide says so chillingly, they were completely unaware of the invisible danger surrounding them. Every breath of that fresh spring air was filled with radioactive particles, and they had absolutely no idea. So why didn't they know? Simple. The Soviet government covered it up. For 36 hours, 36 critical hours, while all this deadly radiation was pouring into the air, they said nothing. They waited an entire day and a half to start evacuating Pripyat. And when the buses finally did show up, The residents were told it was just for a few days. Pack light, they said. So they left everything. Pets, family photos, their entire lives, not knowing they were leaving for good. They would never be allowed to return.
But a disaster like this, you can't contain it in just one city. The consequences were about to go global. And that brings us to our final section, a legacy of fallout. Yeah, that radioactive cloud, it didn't respect any borders. It was carried by the wind all across Europe, from Scandinavia all the way down to Italy. It rained radioactive particles down on forests, farms, and cities, poisoning the land and impacting millions of people. After all this, Chernobyl wasn't just a place on a map anymore. It became a global symbol, a terrifying lesson in what happens when human error meets dangerous technology. It was a wake-up call for the entire world about the profound dangers of nuclear power if it's not treated with the utmost respect. And really, that's the ultimate takeaway from Chernobyl, and it's just as true today as it was back then. It's summed up perfectly right here. The cost of a single mistake can last for generations, a cost that, in so many ways, is still being paid today.